So this video shows you briefly how to edit a program on the Haas controller. What you're seeing here is the graphical display screen which you use to simulate your code. So I have a program that's already up in memory, and I'm going to just go ahead and hit the cycle start button. I'm going to bring up some of the code here with the F4 button so you can see the code there on the bottom right of the display. So I'm going to hit the green cycle start button on the bottom left hand corner and run this program. So it finds an M00 to do a program stop, and then I hit the cycle start button again, and the controller alarms out. So it says here on the bottom left invalid G code, and an alarm flashes and it shows that on line N32 there's an invalid G code. So this may happen several times in your code, and now you want to go and fix this. So what you would do is you would go over to the modes part of the keypad of the alphanumeric display, and then you want to go into the edit mode. What it will do is it will display your code again, and it will also display that line because the alarm is still active. You can see it flashing there. So the problem here is that there's a G11 on that line, and it really should be a G01. The controller doesn't recognize a G11. So using the cursor keys, I'm going to scroll over to the G11, and I'm going to go ahead and change that. To change it, what you would do using the alphanumerical keypad is to type in the G code that you want to replace it with. So I'm going to go down and type in G01. You can see the G01 appearing on the screen. And then using the edit mode, if you read across the buttons, there's something called alter, and that allows me to alter the code where the error is. So I'm going back up, and now I'm going to hit the alter button, and you can see that that switched to G01. There are other things that you can do. Let's say you wanted to delete a word. The way you would do that is you would move the cursor over the word you wanted to delete. So let's say we wanted to, for some reason, we're just practicing here. Let's say we wanted to delete it at Z negative 1.25. I'd hit the the right cursor to cover it, and then going back down to the edit modes, there's a delete button here which would delete that. So I'm going to press it now, and you can see that the code has been deleted. If I want to insert, so I've deleted something, I want to insert it, or if I just want to insert something that's missing, what I need to do is position the cursor over the word preceding the point where I want to insert the new word. So let's say I want to reinsert that Z negative 1.75. I position it on the G01, and then I go ahead and type in Z negative 1.75 on the numeric keypad. And then going over to the buttons here, I want to do an insert, which is the first button on the modes row. So I'm going to come back up here again, and with the insert, you'll see that that Z negative 1.75 has been reinserted. If you want to insert a line, what you have to do is you have to move the cursor over to the end of buffer symbol, which is that semicolon at the end of the line. Let's say we want to insert another line of code below this. Let's say we want to move the tool to back upwards to, let's say, Z negative 1. What I would do is maybe type in a line number. So I might type in, for example, N321, just so that I have a unique line number. And then do a space, and I'm going to type in, let's say, Z negative 1. And if I want this to show up on a separate line with nothing else, I have to input a semicolon at the end. Now, if you go down to the alphanumerical keypad, there isn't really a semicolon button, but there is something called end of buffer, and that's what you want to use. So if we come back up here to the input line that we're going to add, if I hit end of buffer, it puts a semicolon in. And now that I have the line that I want to insert, I come back over and I just hit the insert button, and that inserts that line. So I'm going to come back up here to the controller. Notice the cursor is on the end of buffer, and then I hit insert. Notice that it inserted that new line N321Z-1 on a separate line between those two lines. So that in a nutshell, for the most part, is what you need to know if you need to make changes to your program on the controller. Large changes may better be made by going back to a computer. If you find you have to cut and paste large blocks of code, it probably is better to do it there.